Hey guys, welcome to the show. My name is Spencer, and I will be your air-conditioned host for today's episode of Expat Soup. Once again, we're coming to you live here from Bizarro World.
What?
What's happening? And Lee's gonna edit in some cool stuff here.
I'm not.
We're in Bizarro World because we have a guest today named Xandra Griffin, and she is from
Missouri.
Missouri is not a sub-Saharan African country. It's a state in
The United States of America.
All right, good. You scared me there with the
Bing!
first
Correct.
So we're in Bizarro World today because, well, for one, we're in the air-conditioned room, and two, I'm also an American, and I started this show to delve into different cultures and whatnot. And like 5-6 episodes in, we got our first American. So
the first one.
yeah.
Oh, cool.
So I'm gonna do kind of a little underhand pass to my buddy Lee because he's gonna delve into us today. So Lee, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
And Lee didn't know this was happening, by the way. And I'm the one with a notebook with questions and stuff.
I didn't know this was happening either.
Right. We like to keep our guests on their toes here.
That's okay. I feel I can do this.
But we are in an air-conditioned room, so
Hooray.
they can't see you sweat as he wipes sweat from his brow. Anyways, like I said, Xandra is our guest. She's from... You say you're from Missouri. Is that where you were born?
I was born in Missouri, but I've also lived in 3 other states.
Okay. And I actually have roots in Missouri as well, in the Kansas City area. And for our viewers that don't know what Missouri is, it's a
I think our viewers know what misery is.
Hey.
that's a solid old Missouri joke.
Wow.
Thank you.
But this is maybe Lee's first time hearing of the place called Missouri. And I would guess that it's Indian something or other, like Chicago, Illinois, all that jazz.
I mean the name.
Native American?
Native American. Native American Indian. That's kind of implied. It's not like I didn't say, okay, I'm gonna not.
Okay.
I'm gonna not. Because we're recording, I'm not gonna make that joke. And today's a special day because we have new microphones today, and these little pop guards cover half my face, so I have way too much confidence right now. So anyways, back to Xandra, from Missouri. That's in the Midwest.
That's right.
Right in the middle. If you look at the map of the states, it's basically right smack in the middle.
That's right.
You're from the Midwest as well. You said you...
Why is it called the Midwest?
That's a good question. It should just be
it
called
is
the
in
middle.
Mid, right?
Yeah,
It's
it
in the
should be
middle.
the mid.
But it's west of...
There's no Mid
But
East.
it's like the Middle East. Why is that the Middle East?
Okay, that's a valid question too.
And it's the same answer.
Because.
Because.
Because it's in the middle, but it's the western middle.
But it's also eastern of something.
Yeah,
Or
if you looked at a map of the states, I would say it's not straight down the middle. I'd say it's a little west. It has to be, right?
I guess it's named by the people where they were at the time. So if the settlers are in the East Coast, right?
Right.
The settlers that going west.
Moving west.
Lewis and Clark.
Right.
Thank you.
Way to the west.
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus.
Yes, them guys.
He was on their expedition, actually. I researched this before the show.
That's kind of cool.
That's not true. Christopher Columbus
Well.
was like,
Yes.
millennia before.
Way before.
So
Sacagawea and their little canoe.
right. So there's a lot of Native American Indian stuff going on in the Midwest, more so than the East Coast. The Puritans and whatnot kind of, I would guess you could say, whitewashed the East Coast a little bit, and they preserved a little more of the Native American Indian culture in the Midwest. Is that true?
That's right.
Kind of true?
That's very true.
Yeah. So why did you move around a lot? You're a military brat or
No,
what?
that's a. People actually ask me that a lot. But so what happened was I grew up in Missouri, and then my mom wanted to be closer to her other family. So in 8th grade, we moved to upstate New York. And after 2 years there, we moved down to Florida for about 4 years.
That's
Finished.
to get away from the family.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
A little too much family.
A little too much family going on. We moved down to Florida for 4 years. I finished high school, did 2 years of college there, and then I moved back up to upstate New York to go to like secondary college, finish my bachelor's degree, and then almost every summer after we moved, I spent the summer with my grandma in Ohio. So I'm very
So we
close
got-
to Ohio as well.
You got Missouri, New York, Florida, and Ohio.
That's right.
So the big four. Any other stints anywhere else?
My great grandma lives in Illinois, so I
Okay.
used to spend time there in Illinois as well. My dad's from Illinois as well.
Okay. And Midwestern people have a kind of a, I guess you'd say, a charm. They're friendlier than the big city folk.
Yeah, I think so. We're also rated to have the best accent in all of the U.S. So
Really, I think it's kind of an anti-accent, right?
Yep.
Because it's like it's
we're
right
very,
down the
like-
middle.
Yeah, we're
Literally.
very like cut and dry. Like it's not very. And then there's some words have a little bit of a twang to them.
I have family members in Missouri that have a twang, a hard twang, and it's because they're from the country. I grew up in a small town until I was like 5 or 6, but I didn't hold on to the twang at all.
I didn't really have a.
Do you
Southern
notice
accent.
a difference between our accents
Yeah.
at all?
Yeah, a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
In any like distinct tones or something or difference?
I mean, it's hard to describe an accent,
Right,
right? So
yeah.
I would say, but I can see that you probably grew up in more city-based areas than Xandra did.
Okay, so Xandra's
Yeah.
a yokel.
If I had to guess, if I had
I
to
grew
guess
up with
who
my
lived
grandma
on, a
on
farm,
Highway F.
I would probably guess Xandra lived on a farm and you didn't.
But as an outsider looking in, you can kind of feel that. But when I talk to Xandra, I don't feel any difference.
It's the same thing when I talk to Spencer. I don't really see a difference.
I mean, we don't.
Some words.
We don't have like a hard like A. You know, some people from Illinois they say like car. Like,
Yeah, well, in
it's
Missouri
not even
they
that
say
hard.
like instead of 44, they say like farty far.
And they say
Yeah,
and they say-
Irish.
the best Midwesternism is warsh.
Warsh.
Like
Yep, that's
instead
right.
of wash.
Wash your hands.
They say George Washington. They literally say both of those,
That's right.
and I don't get why.
Say it again. Say it again.
Warsh.
Warsh. Wash your drawers.
Wash your. Okay, that's good. I like that. I like
Y'all
that.
better wash your hands before you come eat supper.
And I think Lee has a more of a kind of a better understanding of accents because in Britain there's like a different accent every 5 miles.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
So you've probably heard 1,000 trillion accents compared to our 100 or so.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know how big Missouri. How big is Missouri?
Missouri, it's like something that you would know. I guess it's
Cute.
maybe the size. Do you know like Washington or like
Yeah.
in the Northwest?
Yeah.
It's just a square like that, maybe a little smaller.
Okay. Well, that's a big chunk of the UK. So
Yeah, it might be the size of the UK.
It's pretty much
a little
city
smaller.
to city are drastically different in the UK. Drastically. It's not even like we don't have states. We have counties, but counties are generally similar. But then some cities are just vastly different. Like they jump up significantly. For example, like Newcastle and Manchester are very, very close to each other in the north of England, but they are 1,000 times different. You wouldn't understand if you could understand someone from Manchester as a foreigner. You wouldn't understand someone from Newcastle because they will use different slang and accent.
I knew a guy from Manchester once.
And
Did you understand him?
Yeah.
Okay.
but it also depends on their kind of upbringing, right? Like
Yeah.
there's people who put on a fake posh accent, there's people who have a real posh accent,
Yeah.
and there's people who just talk how they talk.
Yeah. It's very
So
true.
you can put on a show, if you will, just talking to a new person, like you can, because you know how to talk posh if you grew up in that area. Have you ever done that?
Talk posh.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people.
Talk posh. That's the new name of our podcast.
Where I live in the UK, my accent is considered quite not posh, but like fake posh.
You don't sound like you have a super strong like a Snatchian accent like Guy Ritchie.
Well, I mean, no,
movie.
that's a different area. But people in my hometown don't talk anything like me. But it's literally because my family grew up somewhere else, and then wherever we were when I was young, they would teach me to talk how they were talking. So if I said anything like the local people, my mom would just give me a swift backhand.
Okay.
Oh, no.
No!
What
Not like that. It still slips out every now and again. If it's a you word, like a mum, my natural instinct is to say mum, which is how people in my hometown would say it.
If we're looking at Great Britain, it's Wales is in the southeast.
Well, I grew up in the middle of England.
Oh, okay.
So Wales is on the west of the main continent of the UK.
Oh, it's in the west.
Yeah.
Way off.
And then where I grew up in Derby in England, it's in the East Midlands, which is like smack down in the middle.
So would you be able to tell a Welsh accent?
Yeah, easily.
Lee is our guest today. Xandra's like...
I'm very enthralled listening to this talk of accents.
What would you be able to, if you heard like a 10-second snippet of a Welsh accent, would you be like, that's Welsh?
Yeah.
You can hear it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could.
And they
do
even
most
have their own
cities.
language.
Yeah.
Welsh.
Yeah. That's what it's called.
Cultural.
There's a Welsh guy in Yangzhou, and as soon as I heard him talk,
Carrie.
Yeah,
Carrie.
I knew he was Welsh as soon.
Love that man.
So
I'm not just-
he's got a proper Welsh accent.
He's got a very diluted, like modern Welsh accent, but yeah, you can still in words you can hear it.
Okay. All right, let's get back to Xandra here before she leaves.
I'm not gonna leave. Don't worry. I'm a little caught here.
Yeah, she can't leave.
Can't
So,
leave.
She can't.
So when you tell people where you're from in the States, you say Missouri.
Actually, I kind of say New York.
It sounds better and more people know it.
Not because it sounds better, but because more people know it.
Well, yeah,
and
it sounds...
I can't like speak enough Chinese to like. I know what New York is in Chinese, but I don't know like how to explain like where Missouri is.
Right, and they don't care.
They wouldn't know
They,
anyway.
they
yeah.
don't.
You
I've
As
tried.
soon as I say
Perfect
New
Chinese.
York, they're like, "Whoa, city girl," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Not New York City," and then they get very
you can
disappointed.
say Kansas Shen or something.
Okay.
And they don't, but they don't know that,
Yeah.
right? It's like they know the big three: L.A., Chicago, New York.
New York.
They know Kentucky because it's literally what they call KFC.
Kentucky.
Kentucky is Kentucky.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe I should just say I'm from Kentucky then.
They will just think KFC.
They'll be like, "Are you?
From
you
that
an
one, right by Wanda.
Are you an heiress? From you got
From
any vouchers?
KFC? Yeah, let me give you some chicken sandwich vouchers.
I'll use them. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty.
All right, here we go.
Best decade for America. There's not too many to choose from.
Yeah. Out of all 20 of them.
What would you say is the best decade for America? I know my answer. I know
like
this is
The 80s.
the 80s.
I really like 80s rock. I grew up listening to a lot
Glam
of
rock,
80s.
Dio.
80s. Yep. I love Dio. I grew up listening to a lot of 80s and 90s rock, grunge.
So we're talking like good 80s metal, not so much hair metal, or both?
Not so much hair metal, but I like the good 80s
What's wrong with
metal.
hair metal? What's wrong with you?
The hair metal. there's a smattering of good hair metal, but not. There's nothing that sticks, you know.
I'm not a huge fan of like the like clothing. I guess if I want to go clothing, I'd go 20s. I love the outfits from the 20s.
Flappers.
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
kind of-
Like that's really cool.
It's kind of making a.
And it's coming
comeback,
back, yeah.
so-
Yep. But definitely
people
music wise.
used to, in the 20s, people definitely it was a lot of face, you know. Whereas now in America, there's like nobody cares about face per se, but back then, I think as a culture grows and develops, I think face becomes less important. Would you say that's true for England? Because that's older, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of face as it is isn't really.
Painting with a broad brush here, but
Yeah. I mean, I think it's more common in places outside of cities. I think cities, people are too busy to actually care about other people's face and like, you know, feelings. They'll say something directly to you instead of beating around the bush. But like, if you're in the countryside, you're going to find people be respectful to so much that it hurts them. Like, you go somewhere in Wales or in Ireland and you'll stay in their home for like 7-8 hours because they're too polite to ask you to go home.
Okay. And yeah, there's like a stigma with Brits, I think, where you find yourself in awkward situations because you don't want to do something outside the norm.
I mean, it happens to me a lot. Someone was offering me to eat some grapes, and I really enjoy grapes. I'm a big grape guy, but I'm polite. So like, they offer me, I'm like, oh no, it's okay. They offer me again, like no, because I'm expecting the third time to just go.
This
is
in the
sure.
UK.
This is in China recently.
Oh, okay.
This happened like 2 weeks ago, and the third time I'm gonna say yes, but they stopped asking me after the second time, so I shot myself in the foot.
Oh no!
So it's like I do the same thing. Like,
they've got to play that game, you know. I have to politely refuse. You have to say, offer me again.
I'd like to think of myself as a straight shooter, but there's times when I definitely do the same thing. Like I'll get like some takeout, and they give me the wrong order, and instead of being like, "This is wrong, change it," I'm just like, "Thanks, bye.
That's fine.
I'm not gonna eat this.
Yeah,
I'm going somewhere else now."
The same thing.
And it's part like social anxiety, part you don't want to be a fuss, and part cultural, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, like in the UK, people apologize all the time. I've walked into a door and apologized to the door. It's very common in the UK to just like kind of bite your tongue and just get on with things. But that happens.
Don't make something bigger than it is.
Yeah, exactly. Because you just want to carry on with your day. You want things over with so you can go on and do it. Like, people will pay a fine if it meant they wouldn't need to talk to someone in the UK.
I think I would do that too.
Give me $10. You don't need to talk to anyone for the whole day.
I would. Yep.
And there's places.
A lot of people would pay that fine.
Have you been to California?
No, I haven't been anywhere out west except for Las Vegas. My grandparents took me there when I was a little younger.
Okay. Vegas
is the best place to take a child.
Yeah. Well, it was mostly for the desert.
Also a great place to take a child.
It was really cool. I mean, I had a really great time there.
What do you do in Las Vegas deserts?
We went on we hiked around the deserts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just hiking.
Yeah. My grandpa and I are really fond of hiking. Like, when I grew up in Missouri, we'd go hiking all the time.
Sorry, where are you from in Missouri?
I was born just outside of St. Louis, South County.
Okay, so
Fenton.
the east side.
Fenton, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Fenton.
So
Fenton.
Kansas City, Missouri is on the west. St. Louis is on the east. People think Kansas City and they think it's in Kansas, where it's in both. And I'm from the Missouri part. Kansas is like a kind of our rival, if you will.
Yeah, but you have Chiefs stuff.
Why is it called Kansas
Right.
City?
It's the Missouri,
so Kansas.
That's just everything.
There are two Kansas cities. Is what you're
One.
saying. There's one
In the middle of two states.
That's
so
right.
it's a city that's in two states.
Right.
That's right.
So east side is Missouri, west side is Kansas.
That's right.
So therein lies the rivalry.
Does this happen in other places in America as well? Where you have a city?
Not normal. It's not normal, no. I don't know why, but Kansas City was like in the.
Why is there no Missouri City?
That's called Springfield.
Oh.
There's a Springfield in like every state. But,
Is
anyways,
Kansas City the capital of Kansas?
Capital of Kansas is Topeka. Topeka. Another Native American Indian
So
thing.
it's not even the capital of either of them.
No.
The capital.
It's just
of
Chicago
Missouri
is.
I'm glad
City.
you're independent.
Right, Chicago is not the capital, but just because it's the biggest of Illinois.
Yeah, but it's not in the name, though. Like, Mexico City is the capital of Mexico. You would expect them to be related.
We have Jefferson City, not Missouri City.
It's complicated.
Yep.
Let's save it for the Capital podcast. Coming soon.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for somebody to.
Because Spencer's awkward.
Coming soon.
I just froze.
So I remember we've been talking off air that you are part Native American, right?
That's right. That's actually right. That's why I said Native American
okay.
earlier.
I got you.
And what are you?
What am I? That's a good question.
from
I'm
Elizabeth
American.
Warren's tribe?
But my dad's father is, he actually lives on a reservation. He's Cherokee.
Okay.
And so my dad's part Cherokee and I'm also part Cherokee.
So when you say part, do you know like percentage or like fraction?
I think I'm an eighth.
An eighth.
An eighth. Not enough to get the full government
your
scholarship.
Your dad's a quarter.
Yeah.
Okay. And also there's a scholarship.
Yeah, so if you have enough tribal documents, you can get a lot of money from the government.
Tribal documents.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. If you have your tribal documents, you can get full scholarships. You can get government subsidies because of the way that they like messed up Native Americans in the past.
You can say fucked.
Well, I don't want to say that.
and a lot of times you don't need that. You can just say, like on a college application, and sometimes they won't even check into it. They're just like, okay, she's Native American.
Okay. But if they do, it'll be a problem, right?
Right. It's just like the Elizabeth Warren thing. She's a candidate running for the presidency, and she claimed that she was Native American and got some Harvard benefits or something. It was something to where she gained something from saying it, and then it turns out actually she's not.
She's not.
But they didn't look into it then.
Okay.
It's only coming out now that she's in the spotlight.
So Cherokee is one of the names that I've heard a lot, but
yep,
I wouldn't be able to tell you
the
anything.
Trail of Tears.
Right.
Do you remember hearing about that?
Nope.
It's where
sounds very uplifting though. Please tell me.
Yep,
it's a
very
Pixar movie.
Sad time in the Cherokee history where the government actually made them go on like kind of like an Oregon Trail expedition, but like forced, and a lot of them died. It was very bad. It was horrible. They just forced them to relocate, and yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to talk too much about that. It's kind of sad.
So with the Cherokee as a people, do you have a language? Is there a Cherokee language?
There's a Cherokee language. Yep, I don't know any of it.
Okay.
It's just called
I've
Cherokee.
actually never met my grandfather on my father's side.
Okay.
He left when my dad was very young.
Okay.
So, alcoholism.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair. I understand.
Yep.
And so there's a thing about America that I've heard on countless TV shows, movies, whatever, it's something about Native Americans and opening casinos. I don't know what the connection is.
Well, it was kind of a reparation.
They're the only people allowed to.
No,
open
they were given them.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you can open a casino for free, no taxes, I guess.
That, and they were given land to open specifically a casino. They weren't like opening a strip mall there. It was like, here's...
So if you were Native American, you say, I want to open a casino, they must give you land?
I don't know the details.
I don't know the details either.
Well,
but
come
it
on,
is
guys.
I'm sorry.
But it is in a overall sense, it's a reparation.
Yeah, no, I got that part. I just wasn't sure. I wasn't sure why, like, what the specifics were about, like.
It's because gambling is illegal in a lot of places,
But
and
reservations
very
are technically not.
lucrative.
Yeah.
So it's a lucrative loophole for these special.
Because I think reservations don't technically count as like a part of the state, right? They have their own laws.
Right. It's kind of
something. So maybe gambling is allowed.
Right.
If it's on that land. Which
is kind of ironic because it's like Native Americans have a history of having alcohol problems and abuse, and it's like, why?
Well, I actually know the answer to that. Their DNA is a little different from the Europeans that came over.
Right.
And so the way that they break down, I'm not sure the specifics.
It's the enzymes.
Yeah, it's the way that they break down alcohol. It just doesn't work the same in their body.
They're not
Asia
used to
as
it.
well. Yeah, like in Asia, like Chinese people, Japanese people have a similar problem.
Some turn red.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, white people have been bred to digest alcohol.
Right. It's literally evolution in motion.
It's also the same with like Asians and lactose intolerance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't even know it.
That's right.
They'll eat like a cheese sandwich and be like, why do I feel like shit?
Yeah. But then dairy still isn't that big in China, at least.
That's right.
They do like cheese every now and again, but it's not. Ice cream is the biggest thing they have here.
Right.
Even their milk is generally soy milk.
Mm-hmm.
Coconut milk.
So back to best decade for music for America.
Well,
sorry,
I was gonna say that I think that in America the 1920s is super romanticized with like
all of it is the spousal abuse. Everyone smokes cigarettes over children.
Well, that's more 40s, 50s.
Yeah.
Well, that's every decade up until
the
now.
The 20s were the Roaring 20s.
Yeah, the Roaring 20s.
Which led to the collapse. So in the 30s.
Yeah.
Nobody
You
ever
gotta-
says
it's
the
a yin-
30s
it's
is
a-
my favorite decade.
It's a yin and yang.
It was great.
I would have to say the 50s.
You like the 50s?
Because, I mean, everybody's coming home from war. Everybody's prosperous.
one
You
of
can
them
buy a
was-
house and a car for 50 cents.
Wasn't the Korean War in
That's
the
right.
60s though? So like
The 50s, I'm
Korean
saying.
War was in the 50s.
Maybe the late 50s.
Okay.
But I'm just saying the post-war, basically.
Okay.
Post-war was such a jubilant time.
Martin Luther King was in the 60s, right? I Have a Dream. That was 60s.
Martin Luther King, yeah.
Yeah. I'm
But
probably
the,
gonna go
the
with that.
60s were great. It's the creative revolution, more civil rights, and civil rights lead to creativity. And
Yeah.
in our short little history, we've, gave the world a lot of stuff.
Some of my favorite music comes from probably like late 50s, 60s.
yeah, when I think of
America.
like my
Motown.
favorite
You can't
decade,
go wrong with Sam
I love
Cooke.
some Motown, and that's Sam Cooke. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
I think a lot of when I think of American history, I think of it in terms of like music and clothing as opposed to like I don't know, maybe it's because I'm opposed to like talking about a lot of like politics and stuff, but like or maybe it's like my feminine
Guess I'll
mindset.
scratch off my next question.
That's okay, you can ask. But I
Clothing's a
really
good
like
thing,
yeah, I love the different styles in clothing. And when I think about like the eras of China, the different dynasties, I associate the dynasties with clothing as well. Partially because
You're
I
saying
think
in China.
Yep.
Sorry.
I think it's like a huge reflection of like where their culture is at the time. And for people who know me, they know I'm a huge like religion and culture buff. I love religion, culture, and languages, and so maybe that's why. But when I think of like foreign countries, a lot of times I'll see them in the way that they dress and the way that they like acted, as opposed to like actual historical events. When I think of their history,
that's why a reason I started this whole podcast is to get into stuff like that, because we're all on this little ball hurling through space, but we all have our kind of unique differences, and that's interesting. I mean, inherently interesting. Something that's different is cool.
that's right. That's kind of why I'm here.
So do you think the 90s had better music or better clothes?
I think the 90s is where like Soundgarden
It's kind of
was
interwoven.
like. So I really love the music. Probably.
I guess that's the era of your music as well when
Yeah.
you were growing up, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be.
Yep. I listened to a lot of like Soundgarden, Stone Temple Pilots, Live.
Alice in Chains.
I love Alice in Chains. Yep. a lot of
And the clothes.
the clothes. When I think of the clothes, I think of like Buffy.
Yeah. Will Smith is what who comes to my mind. Like,
Yeah, I'm not
Clothing in the 90s?
yeah.
weird.
I just see
weird
like
trends.
ripped up jeans and a flannel shirt.
chokers. Chokers
Everything,
were super
everything
popular.
really baggy.
Yeah.
Everything is way too baggy.
There was a
Jinkos.
lot of tank tops,
Mm-hmm.
shiny tank tops.
Shiny. Yeah.
The 90s gets a lot of shit, though, funnily enough, for clothing.
Yeah.
Not so much music. The music is fine, whatever, but a lot of...
I think
and
the
this
rise
is
of
coming
boy
from
bands came from the 90s.
Yep,
Oh,
in
yeah.
sync.
NSYNC and
Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees.
Yeah, all of that.
That was like the first blow up of reality TV as well in the
Yeah.
States.
MTV,
even.
right?
Right.
Too as well.
MTV, yeah, that was
As
nice.
well.
Well, maybe
There was
late
like
80s,
7 MTVs at one point, and none of them played music.
Right?
Yeah.
There's still MTV channel though, right? That's
Yeah.
still a thing. Right?
But it's not music anymore. It's reality garbage.
garbage.
Okay, this might be a little sensitive.
All right.
Oh, dear.
Let's get real here.
All right.
Brace yourself.
Lay it on me, Spence.
Brace
Let's
yourself,
get
brace
awkward.
yourself.
All right.
Ford or Chevy?
Oof. Oof. Oh, take a moment. Take a moment.
Do we need to take a break?
No, we got this. I'm gonna say Ford.
Oh boy!
Ford.
Stop the mic. Cut the mics.
I'm not really invested in this question, but
Right.
I'm gonna say Ford
Right.
because
That was the point. I don't care. anymore.
trucks
Trucks. Yeah.
and
I love-
Missouri.
I love
Give me some
that.
trucks.
I love that little piece of our culture that people get very upset about a brand of truck.
I don't care.
Ford is probably
You don't care.
Ford is probably the biggest seller in the UK.
I've had a
as well,
Ford
you know?
and a Chevy. I mean, as long as they run, give me the keys. That's That's what I say.
I drove until I moved back to New York.
You've never said that.
I drove a 1996 Toyota Corolla.
Toyota, some foreign shit.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't care. Like, as long as it ran, I didn't care.
Right, and
Give me
a
them
Corolla will
keys.
run
A Corolla will run
yeah.
forever. As long as it runs, give me the keys.
Right, which is kind of a slap in the face to the Ford Chevy guys. It's like
Sorry.
there should be a third option that will run after 300,000 miles.
There you go. Toyota.
For your needs.
Not sponsored.
It's sponsored.
All right, you're American.
All right. That's right.
What's your favorite war?
Can I say the War on T-Series?
Oh.
The war on TEA?
No. No.
War on
It's an integer. You wouldn't get it. It's an internet joke. You don't get it.
Okay.
You're not cool enough.
I love the internet. I go on it daily.
All right. Well, the war I'm
Is
talking
this an
about.
anime thing?
Nope. It's a Pewdiepie thing.
Oh boy.
I'll just stop there.
I know PewDiePie. I know he's like obviously super uber famous.
98
But
million subscribers.
let's
Which
cover
is
this
98 million more
because
than us.
I've been let's hashtag PewDiePie in this video.
Subscribe. Do your
but
part.
we spell it wrong. POODY
Poods.
PewDiePie. So yeah, let's clear this up. Why did he get so famous? He's like a live streamer.
He was at first.
That's
he
right.
started
He's
playing-
funny.
Yeah, he's pretty funny. He started
So it's
playing
more humor
games.
based.
Yeah.
His style.
He makes a video every day.
Okay, so he's
Makes
a
And I watch them
content king.
every day.
Still.
Yes.
And he's had like tons of backlash.
11, yeah.
But I don't know that either.
He handles it so well. I
is
think
it
that's
people
one
trying
of
to
the
take him
reasons I
down, or
watch
is
him.
he like
He's-
actually racist
He's actually dropped the N word in a stream before.
That's right, he did.
And that's what got caught.
with the hard R?
Hard R.
Because
Yes.
he's Swedish, it all sounds the same. It could be an A. It would still sound like a hard R.
But did it sound
It was a
natural?
hard R.
Like he
He was
said
playing
it?
the game and someone killed him in the game, and he's like, "Oh, you N word," something like that.
That's right.
But he plowed right through that controversy.
Well, he apologized and like he took time to apologize and everything like that. He did come out and, but you know, people are unforgiving, and it's outrage culture is how it is.
Yep, he gets a lot of flack a lot of the times for being called like a white supremacist or
There
a
was
Nazi.
he linked to some. He thought like, oh, these are some popular people I like to watch on YouTube. Go and watch them. And one of them was a white supremacist. And then people are like, oh,
Who?
well,
Who?
some other subscriber.
I don't know, but it wasn't obvious. It was like hidden in his videos
Yeah,
that
yeah,
there were like pro-Nazi references, and so PewDiePie didn't watch all of the videos, so he didn't know. And yet he linked it because he linked it for a specific video that he talked about in
Yeah,
the video,
yeah.
but yet people freaked out, and so he's still
a right racist from the Nazi right. You can't.
Okay, so he got caught in some internet.
That's right.
What
And
have
then
you?
like the Wall Street Journal and people use him to burn people on the internet. Like, look at these guys on the internet; they're all racist with the N word and blah
And
blah.
he's
blah.
making all of these 9-year-olds into Nazis.
Oh, that's the his joke is he calls his subscribers 9-year-olds. even though
9-year-olds.
Most of them
The
aren't
9-year-old
9-year-olds.
army, he says.
So then online people are like, oh, his subscribers are all 9-year-olds, and that's obviously
Okay.
not what it means.
It's me, a 9-year-old.
Recently, the war with T-Series is that
What's that?
He's the biggest person on YouTube.
Oh, T something.
It's
is
just T.
Another
just
subscriber.
letter
Another
T
guy.
series. It's an Indian big corporation.
Oh, I know that, and that's why all the Indians came after him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that. I know that. thing.
He did a lot to combat it by being like, I'm not racist. He did charity streams, things like that to help like Indian youth, and still like people came after him a lot.
It's what happens when you have 98 million subscribers.
Indian online Indian culture is very combative if you push the wrong button.
Yeah.
That's right.
And he definitely pushed the button.
Yeah.
He pushed it. Maybe he drew it back.
Well, the
but
thing is,
you can't
he's
put the
a single content maker, whereas T-Series is a huge corporation.
I mean,
Like, it's a
he
huge
also
company.
made a
I've
video.
seen memes about it.
He made a video he made a music video calling T-Series a bitch lasagna.
Oh, bitch lasagna, yeah. I
and
posted that.
T-Series sued him for defamation
I
because he called them a bitch lasagna.
I posted a meme of that, which I didn't know. I just knew it was like anti, like, Indian, just a stupid meme.
Yeah.
I posted it in like the Foreigners in Yangzhou group just to get a reaction from the Indians, and they were pissed. So I guess I kind of through some channels know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's why it's my favorite war, because it's full of memes. It's full
It's
of
not an American
it's full
war,
of
though. It's not an
fun
American war.
things.
Right.
It's my,
And it's
my
not even
favorite.
a
only one
war.
American.
You didn't
Well,
say,
I mean, it's on
you
YouTube.
didn't say American
I guess
war.
YouTube
You said,
counts
"What's
as-
your
Okay,
favorite
whatever,
war?"
sure.
Okay.
Let's get
What's your
pedantic.
favorite? What's your favorite war?
My favorite war? World War II. It's the only just war.
Mine is World War One because it's called the Great War.
The Great War.
But then there's a second one.
Yeah, but the
What is that? A sequel?
The
The good
sequel.
war?
sequels never
Yeah.
live up to the first, though. do
I
they?
think. The second one is just called the war, right?
Well, no one calls it the Second World War at the time. It's in hindsight you call it the Second World War. Like, it wasn't called the First World War during the
Right.
First World War.
And it wasn't even the whole world.
Right?
Eritrea was nowhere to be seen. Callback. That's what we
Callback.
call
It's
it. Callback
Call back.
in the
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah. We bag on that country a lot. I don't even know why.
I don't
But
know why
so- either.
either. This is the first time hearing of this.
I would like to say that you've pronounced the name correctly this
Right.
time.
Yes. You don't have to do any editing now.
I'm going to anyway.
All right. So, Lee, what do you want to know about America?
I want to know how many states you've both been to out of the
Oh shit.
50.
I have not been to Alaska. I haven't been to Hawaii. In the continental U.S., I would say 20 or so, maybe 25.
I
So
drove
about half.
About half.
Yeah.
all the way from Florida up to New York.
That's not what I asked.
Does that count by
No.
going there?
That's not what I asked.
Well,
It's like
let's-
22
let's
hours
think.
of driving.
But I would
how many
say
states did you go to?
I'd say that's what, maybe 15, 12, 13 states.
Do you I don't
Florida?
count driving through as going to.
Oh, you definitely like stop and eat at a place.
That's right.
and
Yeah, but some
Potty
of the-
breaks.
Okay.
You
It
go to
counts
like
as setting
the
foot on that land.
The-
Like,
the
I
world's-
peed in Texas. I peed in Texas. No.
There's a
Hey,
big,
how many states have you peed in? Okay.
0. I've not been to America.
so the America's states. You said counties, but so we're the United States. You guys are the United Kingdom,
Yes, that's because we have
Do-
4 kingdoms.
right? But do you guys feel like separate states, or I mean countries?
Yeah.
Or do you feel
culturally,
very-
yes. Culturally, it's very.
So it's
distinct.
there's a little amount of pride in
Yeah,
your
yeah.
country.
Like you'll get like people in Scotland who hate English people and vice versa, and Wales and England and Ireland, and of course Ireland
And a lot of it's
Northern
historical.
Ireland.
Oh yeah.
A lot of it's historical, like
Yeah,
the
for
Irish,
sure.
obviously the.
But I would also say that like a Welshman that hates an Englishman probably still likes him more than a Frenchman.
Okay.
So it's like you hate your brother, but you still like your brother more than someone else.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I love my brother.
But when you're with your brother, I bet you punch him in the face.
No, he punches me in the face.
And your brother was named.
Don't do that.
This is a little tidbit. I remember your brother's named after John Elway.
That's right. His middle name is Elway. Gabriel Elway Griffin.
So your middle name is like
Michelle.
Bubby Brister.
Michelle
No,
Obama.
it's Michelle. After
Okay.
my aunt.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
gonna say
My
that-
aunt and I have the same middle name.
After Elway, the Denver quarterbacks kind of run out. Jake Plummer.
Well, my dad's really big on Denver Broncos. I remember growing up, and my brother would always have like Broncos stuff all throughout his
Chiefs
room.
rival.
Yeah, he always hated the
Oh
Chiefs.
yeah, I knew that. I knew that.
And my brother, his favorite team ended up being the Green Bay Packers. So
Oddly enough.
yeah, oddly enough. But
So
growing
he'll-
up, my brother had the Broncos like defeated the Packers at the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, yeah.
We had like newspaper clippings of that like framed on his wall like growing up.
That
And he
is-
still liked the Packers
That's
anyways.
extremely ironic.
Yeah.
So he'll name his son Favre, and he'll like the
Probably.
Cowboys or something.
We'll see. Yeah.
Nice. So your family came to China recently.
Yeah, my aunt and my grandfather came to
And
China.
they're from.
My grandfather currently lives in Ohio.
So these are the Ohioans.
Yep, and then my aunt lives in upstate New York. I've been living with her for a while.
Okay, so what was and they haven't been here before.
My aunt came here about 5 years ago.
Wow.
She loves China. She
Humble
loves
brag.
Chinese.
So she came to China before you.
That's right.
Wow.
Yep, she came to China. Yep.
So she's a world traveler, or she just came to China.
She just came to China. Well, she's a world traveler. She went to Stonehenge too.
Okay.
I've been there.
I want to go there.
It's pretty nice.
Did they ever figure out what that was for?
Yeah, it's the summer solstice, which happened a few days ago.
She went
Like the
to
lights?
Stonehenge on the summer solstice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The
So
lights-
she's a hippie. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, I'm with it.
The lights hit it in a certain way. Or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. It's designed for like the shadows and everything.
And
There's
it's
a
not.
big
It's
line
not
in the middle.
100% still there, right? Like there's a few rocks missing or boulders. I mean,
No, it's there's pretty big.
it's all still there.
Yeah, like you would have to really
Okay.
try to move
My
it.
my question was, did they figure out how they made it?
Making it is still something they don't know so well because the
Is-
stones all came from Wales, which is
Right.
thousands
That's
of
the
miles,
same thing about-
hundreds of miles away.
That's the thing.
Thousands.
That's the same thing
Millions of
about the
miles.
pyramids. All that stuff was far away.
Yeah. I mean, the timing isn't exactly the same, but it was a long
Right,
time
right.
ago. Yeah,
The mystery behind the building and the materials
Yeah.
being from a
because they come from a particular mountain range in Wales, which is very far away from. It's in like southeast.
I
England.
think that people in
Southwest.
ancient times just had so much time on their hands to look at the sky for one.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they knew all about the stars, constellations, etc. But they had time and people.
Stonehenge is fascinating though because it's built in rings. So like, there's the inner ring where obviously the rocks are, and then they have like,
That's what you see
but
on
then
the
they have
internet
like
and stuff.
ditches for in rings going outwards, and then on the top of each, so the ditch goes down and then it comes up again. They have like, I can't remember the exact name for them, but they're basically just tombs, like graves of people. And the closer you were to the henge itself, the more important you were.
What's Stonehenge age range? Like 1,000 years old?
More. It's closer to 2,000.
Damn.
I think it might. be
That's old.
2,000. It's pretty old.
Yeah, and the ditches have survived through time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's lots of conservation and
Right.
stuff and archaeological stuff around there.
That's
but,
in England, or
England.
okay. So your family came here. Your aunt and your grandfather.
That's right.
What was their kind of perspective of China through
My aunt loves China and she loves Chinese food. She kept
real Chinese food? Or
she kept like saying that she only ate like Chinese food while we were here. That's all she wanted. We'd stayed at a hotel and we had like a full
Does she have a certain
full, like,
kind
breakfast.
that she like? Because there's like
She
8 kinds
just
of Chinese food.
she really loves dim sum actually.
Okay.
But she'll eat any kind of Chinese food.
A lot of Chinese food is just like put a bunch of stuff in a pot and let's stir fry.
Yeah,
Yep.
stir fry. Veg with a little bit of meat.
And then my grandfather
That works.
my grandfather, he was kind of taken aback about the Chinese policy on like making a line.
They make a pile.
Yep, he was a little taken aback by that. But he seemed to like it. He liked it a lot. We went to see the Terracotta Warriors in Xi'an,
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
which he really
Speaking
loved that.
Monuments.
Did we speak
He-
of monuments?
Yeah,
Oh,
Stonehenge.
Yeah,
And
I talked about that.
The funny thing is that my grandfather's like he loves watching the History Channel, and he'll like, he's
Ancient
Always,
Aliens.
yep, exactly. He
Speaking
loves
of
that
That's my
sort of
favorite
stuff.
show. That's my favorite show.
And,
It's the best.
And
It's so great.
he always talks about how when I was like 5 years old, we were on a flight and he and I read the in-flight magazine, which was about the Terracotta Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really fitting for like him to come here and for us to go see the Terracotta Warriors together.
That's very cool.
Because it's like stuff that he loves and also like a good memory that
It was
like
a
he and I
great moment.
shared.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was really, really happy.
That's awesome.
He's like an engineer that traveled, like he does like air conditioning engineers. So
Okay.
here.
Shout out.
yep,
Shout
shout out
all
to
the
air conditioning.
ACs.
And he used to travel to Korea, and so he kept comparing his his time doing air conditioning in Korea to staying in China. That was good.
Put your pop guard a little closer, maybe. Just don't want to be too quiet.
this close enough?
Just a little
I'm
far.
not good at keeping my face close to the microphone. I just want to
You're
talk
good.
face to face.
So you went to the Terracotta Warriors with your family. Did you go anywhere else fun? Wait, what are the Terracotta Warriors for our listener?
Well, there are a bunch of soldiers that were found.
They're warriors.
Warriors. They're a bunch of warriors and generals and archers and
Horses.
found Underneath
Cool story.
where Qin Shi Huang was by his mausoleum. They're protecting Emperor Qin Shi Huang's mausoleum.
Do you know how they were found?
They were found by farmers that were they were trying to like till the ground, and they were wondering why their crops weren't growing, and that's because there were tons of clay soldiers buried underneath the earth.
Who the put
right
these
next
here?
to right next to a huge mausoleum filled with liquid mercury. So
Wow.
so the mausoleum hasn't even
Wait,
been
was it
opened.
still liquid?
So they hated the environment way back then.
I guess so. Well. One of the reasons why the tomb hasn't been opened is because it's full of liquid mercury. Like there's rivers of it in there.
Damn.
Yeah.
What? Like a moat? Or
I don't know exactly, but they'd have
They
to
had
like pull
liquid
on like a
mercury at
full
that
like
time?
hazmat suit in order to go in there, and also like the Chinese government doesn't want to open it yet. So
Damn.
They're gonna wait until it's important.
I think the 50 years they said. They're also like not unearthing a lot more terracotta warriors because they're all painted in beautiful, beautiful colors. But within an hour of exposure to air, they oxidize and the paint goes away.
So they
So
were painted.
yeah, so they're
Wow.
painted. You can see like pictures that they took if you go there, and then there's like they put some in like a special kind of glass environment.
vacuum, I guess.
Yeah. And some of the colors still remain, but it just like it goes away so fast.
I mean, that's
So until they can figure out how to preserve it, they're trying to like keep the terracotta warriors like underground. A lot
that's
of them.
something I was really like surprised by. Like in Greece and Rome, all of those statues were painted. They weren't naked, like that kind of pearl color. They were actually painted people, and they were bright colors apparently. But that just disappeared over time and whatnot. So I would love to see it. I would love to see those
I want
colors.
to see like the Parthenon like repainted as to how it would have been. Like Parthenon is another one of my like bucket list places to go to.
What else is on the bucket list?
I really want to go to. I want to see all the world wonders, but I don't want to just go there.
So the Hanging Gardens
Yeah,
of
Hanging
Babylon.
Gardens,
Yeah.
pyramids. It's not gonna happen.
No.
but
It's on
I
the
would
list.
love to.
Yeah.
It's on the list.
So pyramids.
But where it was would be really cool because it's not just about seeing like it there. It's about like experiencing the culture around it, like knowing and experiencing like the climate, the culture, the food, the things like that really would help you like understand like where this world wonder came from, like the culture behind it.
Yeah.
And even though a lot of it's still modernized, I'm just very much in love with like ancient world cultures and mythology and so I want any way I can experience that in real life.
Okay.
Is, like
So what else? Pyramids.
the pyramids. What was I saying before? I wanted to see the
World
terracotta
wonders.
warriors. I wanted to see the Great Wall. Great Wall's done. I saw that. I want to see the Parthenon. I want to see Stonehenge.
Uh-huh. I don't think that counts as a world wonder.
No, I'm not talking about world wonders. I'm talking
Oh.
about places I want to
Okay.
go.
Okay. Go on. Go on.
Did you say the pyramids already?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. The Sphinx. The Sphinx. I want to see the
Well, I
Sphinx.
mean that's coupled with
part of the pyramids.
That's why did so many ancient cultures think that they needed all these accoutrements
Are you French?
to follow them into the
Oui.
afterlife? It's weird, right? Because
it's
they're,
a lot
they're
of their
all
like
different
god worship
places,
too.
but they all had the same belief.
Oops.
Like us modern folk, we don't. I mean, we might put some roses on the coffin, but
People still, like rich people, still have tombs, like things
That's
you
right,
can walk into.
mausoleums.
Mausoleums.
but it's not.
They're
filled
not
with-
buried in the ground. They're covered in concrete
No,
and
but the
put in the
coffins
wall.
and stuff cost thousands and thousands.
That's right.
Right,
The statues you put on your
Mummies.
grave.
They're modern mummies.
but there's not like a dead horse in there with them or something.
That's true. But I guess it's just greed, right? If you can bury.
Like if you look
keep
at
your
King
wealth-
Tut's tomb, it was actually relatively modest to what you would think it would be. It's like a table
Isn't
and
his
some
coffin
chairs.
solid gold?
Oh, did I say coffin? I meant just his tomb, like
Sarcophagus?
not
his
sarcophagus.
but his sarcophagus is solid
sarcophagus was beautiful. Yeah.
Gold. Yeah.
And I actually recently read that the only reason why it was so well preserved is because he was like an afterthought, and it was just like under some other bigger guy's tomb, and
Yeah.
just wasn't discovered.
Yeah.
But
I guess a lot of those religions believe they would take those things to the afterlife.
That's right.
that's the point. That's what I'm saying. Why?
Because that's their religion at that time.
But
I think
The
okay.
other
so
point is there's so many cultures across the world that had the same belief at the same time. It's like
Because they don't want to believe that you just give everything up when you die.
a lot of
they believe
They
in
want to
an
feel like you're
afterlife,
working
obviously.
to something, right? You earn all this money and it means something when you die. If you just work and work and work and you get all this gold
Just
and then you die.
existential dread.
Yeah. And I feel that. When I die, I'm burying everything with me. I can't have it. No one can.
Qin Shi Huang took all of his concubines that didn't provide him with children to the death with him.
Oh no, and they died.
That's
They
vindi-
they killed
buried
them?
them alive. Buried them alive
that's
with him.
vindictive. That's
Wow.
not like,
So he went to hell.
yeah. Well,
Heck, sorry.
you went heck.
Sorry.
Lowercase h.
9-year-olds.
HECC. Further censor it.
All right, let's get back to America. Lee,
All right.
Yeah.
Lee, you're the outsider.
Okay, so you both of the 4 places you've lived, which one was your favorite, and why? And which one was your least favorite, and why?
In the States.
Yeah, those 4 states: Ohio, Missouri, New York.
Hilarious.
You're so funny.
And Florida.
You're so funny.
That's why.
I
chose
think
him.
my least favorite was
Florida, right?
Florida. Yeah.
I know it would be.
But the weather
It's-
is too hot.
The weather is nice there, but the thing is that it stays the same all year round, and I really I don't love change, but I don't like stagnation. And it just felt like there was a lot of like stagnation, especially because I lived in Orlando, and so they keep everything like pristine and beautiful for the tourists. And so it just really felt like nothing was ever changing, and there was just so many tourists there, and it just really wasn't like a really like nitty gritty like town that you could like grow up in and be there. It just felt like more of an attraction.
So where was the best? I get tourist places are not places you
Upstate
should
New
live.
York, probably.
Upstate New York.
Yep.
When you say
And-
upstate,
yeah.
how far away from the city is that?
6 hours by car.
Okay.
Like right
New
next
York
to Lake
State's
Ontario.
very large.
Mm-hmm.
Right next to Lake Ontario, about an hour away from Niagara Falls.
Okay.
Yeah.
So closer to Canada?
Yeah, very close to Canada.
Closer to Canada
Do you
than
know-
New York City.
Do you know Rochester?
No.
That's where I was living. Do you know Buffalo?
No. The Wings.
I think
Okay.
that's where they're from.
All right. So Rochester's famous for the
Buffalo's-
Kodak camera.
Do they have wings?
They have wings. They also have a thing called a garbage plate.
Wait, what?
Yep.
Is that a
That's what I eat
special
every night.
McDonald's item?
It's what you want to eat when you're really drunk at like 2 a.m.
Yeah, every night.
It's so mac and cheese, home fry, not mac and cheese, mac salad, home fries.
Whoa.
Mac salad?
Mac salad.
Mac salad.
You don't overlook that.
Sorry, mac salad.
Breeze-
I just
Can't
really
breeze
want mac
past
and
the
cheese.
Mac salad.
So mac salad, home fries on the same plate.
What's a home fry?
Home fries are like potatoes cut in like kind of like squarish shapes.
It's like a steak fry.
Yeah, kind of like a steak fry,
Okay.
but like smaller.
I feel
this
like it's
size.
what I should call
It's a
Spencer
chip.
every time I
It's
see
a
it.
chip.
And then
Okay, thank you.
and then
What's up, home fry?
yeah.
on
Okay.
top of the mac salad and home fries, you either have 2 hamburger patties or hot dogs or both.
Just a patty, not like.
No bread. Okay, not yet. Not
Atkins
yet.
diet.
Not yet. Wait.
Oh, the bread's coming.
Wait. And then on top
You
of
get a
it, you put
syringe.
chili meat sauce, ketchup, mustard, relish, onions, all sorts of that good stuff,
get-
all on top.
This is why it's a
and
garbage.
then bread and
like,
butter on the side.
And
on the side.
This
On
is,
the side.
This is the America.
Garbage plate.
America.
Garbage plate.
This is the America
That's
The
pie.
the American plate.
Rochester
You say-
garbage plate.
You say garbage plate. That's an American plate to me.
It's, but don't you want to eat it when you're drunk at like 2 a.m?
I don't know what a mac salad is though. What is a mac?
Is it cold?
macaroni and salad?
Well,
It's
no.
it's
The,
like
the
potato
mac salad
salad?
is cold.
Right, it's
but-
like a
but the-
potato
the-
salad, but it's macaroni.
Yeah,
No potatoes, just macaroni.
macaroni noodles. Yeah,
Okay.
Pasta salad.
pasta salad.
Yeah.
But we call it mac salad.
Because you're from upstate New York.
Mac and cheese, but not mac and cheese. There's no cheese.
No
Mac
cheese.
salad.
Interesting.
It's probably one of the only American dishes without cheese, though.
You can put cheese on the hamburger patties.
Of course you can. So they're cheeseburgers.
Yeah, you can make cheeseburger. Hot dogs. And we also have conies, which
Wait,
are
and
white
thi-
hot dogs.
and
White hot dogs.
This is why it's your favorite? Is this?
No, it's not. It's not. I miss Western food, and I really
I
am
don't count
thinking
that
about
as
a
Western
garbage
food.
plate.
Don't group all Western food in with that plate.
It's American.
Please.
I miss American food. That cat was really loud.
Yeah. That's another reason we're in this room. Thanks for telling all the
Sorry.
listeners.
The people that can't hear on the mic.
Yeah.
So
Rochester's your favorite,
I think so because you get the different
Really
seasons
cold.
and summer. Does get really cold.
but nice.
Feet and feet of snow.
So what?
Feet.
How many feet?
Feet.
Foots of
How
snow.
many? How many foots?
A lot of foots.
A lot of foots.
Feet of snow. A lot
Just
of snow.
a foot of snow.
No, like 2, 3.
And then you get the
It's too much
wind.
snow.
The
yeah,
wind,
there's a lot
what
of
are
like
those
lake
called?
effect snow
Winds.
too.
Uh,
Windstorms.
Tornadoes.
just when the wind piles the snow even higher.
Snow
There's a
pile?
word for that, but I can't think of it.
I don't know
Snowstorm.
either.
Uh,
But the it smells really nice. It smells like pine trees and
All year?
lake
In the spring and stuff.
in the spring and the summer. Like
Okay.
going from Orlando, I would fly to visit my aunt sometimes. Before I moved there, and the first thing I would realize when we're just like driving to our house is it smells so fresh because there's a lot of like forests and national forests and
What's that called? The National Forest?
Letchworth State Park. It's not national; it's a state park. I'm
Just
sorry.
just
I'm
lied-
sorry.
lied
I lied. I
on
guess
the
I lied.
internet.
Well, that's the one that's closest. I think. Well, it's by the Catskill Mountains too. So I'm sure there's a national park somewhere. Don't hurt me.
Are national parks better than state parks?
They're both run by the government.
Yeah,
One's
but-
just larger.
It's the same. It's the same.
One's
the
just
same.
larger.
National
So-
parks, yeah, they're bigger.
What's your
There's a-
favorite national park, Spencer?
I'd say probably the Black Hills. That's not a national park. The Yellowstone.
Yellowstone?
Yeah,
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone's great. It's just so big and
Have you been to Yellowstone?
yes, yes.
Want to go there?
What's your favorite
Bucket
national
list.
park?
Me?
You. What's your
Yeah.
favorite state
Yeah,
park?
you're the guest.
What's your favorite park?
I don't know. I really like Letchworth State Park. It's good. It's got a lot of like mountain climbing, a lot of trail hiking.
So you're an outdoorsy American.
Yeah.
You're
It's
not
that
a
Native American blood.
You're right. So you're outdoorsy, but you also
I used to be in like nature camps all
like
the time
the
too.
indoorsy
Yeah.
stuff.
I love
YouTube and
memes.
stuff,
I love my
anime.
computer. I love video games. I love
It's
anime.
2019. You can do both.
She got the best of both worlds.
She could
in
take her
that head.
phone
That's
out.
right.
That's good. That's good. It's good to be balanced.
I think that
you can't do too outdoor or too indoor, then you're a freak.
a lot of the ways I connect with like being in China and a lot of like homesickness is to go out to like a park and just
And
like
just
walk
feel-
around and just
Not like
exist.
not like
Park.
that. Not
Thank
that.
you.
Not that fake American freedom. Just like freedom.
Yeah,
Like being,
yeah.
Being.
Riding on an e-bike at 2 a.m. on a summer night.
Mhm.
I keep talking about 2 a.m., but really
Anywhere.
it's like 3 a.m. That's like the mythical time that writers talk about all the time.
That's the time the ghosts come out too.
That's right.
Do you believe in
ghosts.
ghosts?
Yes,
You do.
I do believe in ghosts.
Have you seen one?
No.
Heard
but-
one?
No.
Talked to one?
Touched
Touched one?
No.
Felt one?
That's what I was
That
gonna
counts
say.
as touched one.
So you just really like the Paranormal Activity movies?
Yeah, I no, not the movies.
2 hours of boredom, and then like a sheet falls off the wall.
No, I don't think I've actually seen any
I
of
would
those
love
movies.
to believe in ghosts. I just can't find it in me.
I think because I'm so amazed with like ancient cultures and religion and mythology, I don't
Do you
I don't disbelieve in that.
Okay.
I
So
do believe
Do you
it.
think
So
they're
you're
in
more
a different-
agnostic to ghosts than believe in ghosts, or you 100% believe in ghosts?
I 100% believe in ghosts.
So do you think they're like in this like spectral dimension, or they are just a guy with a sheet over his eyes that we can't see?
I would
both.
believe it's a different dimension. Yeah,
A
I
different
believe
dimension,
it's
right?
like parallel planes.
I would
you know?
believe in that.
A
The
plane of
different dimension
existence
would
different
make
from
more
us.
sense than just a guy watching us in the corner. That's boring, right?
yeah. Yeah.
What are the rules for ghosts that you believe? Do you
I-
believe like
I
if you
d-
die you become a ghost, or is there certain like,
Purgatory.
I
do you need to have like some ongoing feuds that keep you
Unfinished business.
Yeah.
I have unfinished business to resolve.
Because we live in China, right?
I
And
never
there's
sent that
been
email.
Billions of people in this country.
Chinese ghosts.
Oh God, right? If ghosts were real, we would be getting gangbanged every night.
Exactly. We would not be able to move for ghosts if ghosts were like.
The thing is like I don't know what I
Especially
believe
after
when
the
it comes to
revolution.
ghosts because I've never experienced it,
Mhm.
and so I'm not saying that they
being a
can't exist.
I've heard.
No,
but
but you
I'm-
say you 100% believe in them.
I believe that they can exist.
I've heard some.
I've never seen one.
I've
does that
heard.
mean?
I've heard some. I've heard some very like testimonial ghost stories.
My
like,
dad
where
grew up
people,
with a
Like where
ghost.
people like tell me, and I believe this person 100%. I know they're not lying to me, but I'm trying to think: is it in their head, or did they actually
You don't
see
yeah.
this thing?
You believe they're telling you what they believe. It
Right.
doesn't mean what
I
they
don't think they're
believe
lying to
is
me.
true though.
But I don't know what is if they're crazy.
If you believe in ghosts, that's fine. But I don't understand what you believe.
I don't understand what I believe either.
Okay.
Let the record show
That's
that.
good.
Okay.
I am very open. If there's a ghost and it talks to me, then I
You're
know that it's
100%
real.
open, but you 100% have no actual understanding of what you believe.
That's right.
So let me
That's
just
right.
tell you a quick ghost story.
Ooh.
This is from.
Should we turn the lights
Dim
off?
the lights.
Yeah.
They're already pretty low.
Yes.
We can't afford any more.
Go like
lights.
this. Go like this so we can.
So this is like I said, my friend told me this.
This is true story, guys, okay?
True story.
Cryptid files.
So Kansas City, Missouri.
Ooh.
Scary.
I'm already scared.
There's no jobs there.
Kansas City. It's in 2 states. Oh.
So an old house, what we'd call an old house in America, was built in like the 1800s. So that's
old,
That's like
guys.
ancient
Yeah.
to us,
So old.
right? There's so much history. They have real bricks. There's no drywall.
The milkman would
What a-
come to the
what
door
a-
every day.
Ghosts named Kyle have no.
No drywall
to
to punch.
Kyle's in the 1800s. Had just broken fists.
Poor Kyle.
So he moved into this ancient house from the 1800s in Brookside, an area in Kansas City. Nice area, nice houses. He moved into the basement, other roommate upstairs. I'm gonna say this quick. It's gonna be quick.
No, take your time.
Roommate in the basement, roommate upstairs. The roommate upstairs has been there for like a few weeks. Roommate downstairs first night. He has like what you call when you're like sleep paralysis. Like
Oh, okay.
when you. So this black little creature disjointedly walks into the room, goes up to his bed, and then he wakes up. Happens the next night, the next night, the next night. Disjointed creature walks in the room, and I 100% believe this guy. Walks in the room, wakes up, sweating, It's not an actual ghost, but it's a weird
But
thing.
he says he described it as waking up.
Right, he woke up after the thing
After
went up
the-
to the bed.
Okay.
So he's in the house, in the bed. A week goes by, and he's got to, vocalize this to the upstairs guy, the guy who's been there for a while. He starts telling the story to his friend upstairs, and his friend upstairs finishes the story. They'd been having the same dream, the same sleep paralysis for the whole week that he had moved in. And they both literally moved out of the house because of it. Pretty cool. So, Xandra, you're
That's
from America.
spooky. That's really cool, though.
So don't move to Brickside.
That's what I'm
Brookside.
into. I love hearing about stuff like that.
Don't live
It's
in
crazy,
anywhere
and
with
I believe it. Because why? It's like those people who are not going to pull your chain for fun. Like they're going out on a limb to tell you something like that. Is ghost culture in ghost culture?
Ghost culture.
How
Do
2019?
ghosts have culture?
How 2019 is that? Ghost culture in the UK? Is it are they allowed to exist?
Yeah, I mean, there are people that believe, of course, there are. I would say probably less sensationalized than American ghost culture.
Mm-hmm. Same with aliens, right?
I think
Aliens in America are huge.
But to be honest, there's statistics to show 60% of Americans believe in angels and things like that. So there's definitely a lot to say about
a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Do you believe in angels?
I do not. No.
I don't think I do either.
I'm
But
atheist.
angels
so
are ghosts.
But
I'd
do
rather
believe in
believe.
ghosts. Like lawful good ghosts.
Do you believe
versus-
in an afterlife?
Yeah. No.
Well, but do you believe if you believe in ghosts, is it not intertwined?
I do believe in an afterlife to an extent. I don't think it's a huge, big judgment of your character sort of thing. I believe it's like a plane of existence, where you go for a little bit, but then eventually you'll fade into nothing.
Ooh.
Delightful.
But I don't mean that in like a bad way.
That's scarier than everything else.
Fade into nothing.
Well, I
You
believe
had
in
me at
reincarnation.
Fade into nothing.
I 100% believe in reincarnation.
I'm with you there.
So-
I lean towards reincarnation, like
So-
time as a circle.
When I say afterlife,
already
it's a
had this
plane of
conversation.
existence of like waiting, you know, and then you'll fade, and then you'll be reincarnated. And I think it varies depending on like from what time to what time. I mean,
Karmaic.
you know, I'm also like kind of Buddhist, and like Buddhists have a hell, but they don't have a heaven.
They have lots of hells. Right?
Yeah,
They have
yeah.
lots of levels.
Depending on like what you are.
Their
If you're a
heaven is
woman,
just-
you have to go sit in the pool of blood hell
Damn
for
right.
various reasons.
Damn right.
but it's a hell where you stay there for a little bit and then you are reincarnated.
What do you think about the theory that we're all one person, and when you die, you get reincarnated as someone else? So when I die, at some point, I'll be reincarnated as you, for example. Then when you die, you'll be reincarnated as Abraham Lincoln, and then when Abraham Lincoln dies,
So
you'll be-
time is a circle
That's what the
thing.
Hindus believe. That's why they
No, but this is not like when you die, you're reincarnated as someone else. As when you die, you're reincarnated as someone who has already been.
right. They believe that they were at one point in time they're gods. So that's why they treat their god statues with such reverence, like giving them baths and giving them clothes and things to wear around their neck.
But what do you
Like,
think about that?
I don't know.
Comparatively to the Buddhist reincarnation?
I don't think that we're all one person. I think that we all have our own paths.
I think
that
that
we
we're just
take.
all organic matter that decays at some point.
Some more than others.
It's a natural way. It's a natural way of things. Like I believe in like a very natural like course of life. Like everyone is going to
You
die.
live, you die.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple, really. There's just two big questions: what happens after, and
And during.
during. What was the other
I
question?
don't know.
Are there aliens?
Yeah, that's
the
the
big
other
one.
big. Yeah, that's the other big.
Not
one.
aliens. Is there life out there? Any more
Yes.
America questions?
So if you believe in reincarnation, where does that put aliens in that?
I don't know.
Me or
It's a
Either
good
or.
question.
well,
Because
I
that's
think
the
that-
big thing.
I
If we
think
ever
that-
found intelligent life, all religion is over, right? Surely.
Oh yeah. Well, I think all the religion has been over in my mind.
I mean, well, yeah, but I mean, how can
I don't think so.
Religion's
anyone
just
defend a religion
religion is just
with intelligent
an
life?
intelligent ape trying to make a meaning.
I also
something.
That's
think
what I
that
believe,
religion is a reflection of culture.
But
And so
I'm not
even
against
if-
religion.
Even if creatures are found that exist outside of like this planet, I still feel like our religion won't die off because
No,
it
but if
is
you
a,
believe
like,
God
reflection of
made-
us.
And it depends on if they're interdimensional or like which
Right.
plane they're on.
But
We're
if you
on a
believe
plane,
God made man,
the heaven and earth.
heaven and earth, and made the world in 7 days or whatever, and then you believe He made man and
well,
woman.
then
Well,
that
that's a
part will
specific
definitely have to
religion.
be scratched.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's
Like,
stupid to say there's not life out there.
Well, that's why I specified
There
intelligent
is.
life. That's why I specified intelligent life, because
That's hard because look at how much of a cosmic accident this is to bring us to this point.
yeah, but the
It's
universe
a,
is
it's a total accident.
the universe is way bigger than you're giving it credit.
Well, no, I'm saying that there has to be intelligent life
Oh, okay.
because
Then-
it's so big
Okay, then yeah, I
and
agree.
long.
I agree.
Time-wise, it's such a long.
Yeah. And that they could have lived and died before we've even found where they were.
But the thing is that the components for life to exist are so just
Is that Goldilocks that have to be just right?
fine detailed.
Yeah. So, as Americans, should Puerto Rico be a state?
51, number 51. If they pay taxes, sure. I
Go
don't care.
for it.
Yeah,
If they pay tax, they already vote, right?
I think they already pay some taxes, don't they?
Do they vote? They vote.
No, well, yeah, no, they vote and
They
they
do.
don't, but they don't have representation. There's
Taxation without representation. And it's the
That's
same thing
no
when
good.
you're 16 years old. You can have a job and get taxed, but you can't vote. Should 16-year-olds
So
be
you're
able
right.
to
So
vote?
16-year-olds are the Puerto Ricans of American.
Right. Poor and stupid.
I don't know about this, guys.
Wow.
No.
I'm about to get pewdiepied.
All our
Anyways,
subscribers.
right. All our subscriber.
Is it me?
You have 81
Guys,
profiles.
subscribe. We're up to 81 now.
Yeah.
Where'd you guys go?
Anyways, Xandra,
Yep.
how are you?
I'm great. You haven't asked me a question that I thought was going to be like number one.
Oh.
And I don't
that?
want to bring it
You
up
should
'cause
ask us.
I
this
was
question.
gonna-
You ask us. That,
Does it
the
have to
question
do
you
with
think.
what we were watching downstairs?
No,
Okay, so
it does not have to do with that.
I like to keep my guests on the edge of their seat. Literally, these stools
Well,
suck.
I'm a little short, so I'm very much like very attached
Right.
to the seat right now.
Give me the topic. Let's see if I can come up with
China.
the question. The topic is China.
Yep.
And the question is, why did you come to China?
That's right. That's right.
right. That was like number one.
Was it
Ba,
really?
ba,
Oh,
ba.
there it is. Why
Why
China?
So you're a girl. Most of the
Whoa.
Don't make it an accusation.
I am a girl.
You're
I'm
a
a girl.
girl.
I'm a girl. I'm a woman.
You're a
Thank you.
woman.
I'm a woman.
And most
Strong,
of the
independent
expats we see here are male.
That's right.
That's true. So why you, a girl from the Midwest and other states, why did you come to
Keep saying
China?
A girl. She's not
I'm a
gonna forget.
woman.
Is there that much of a difference between a girl and a
If
woman?
I called you a boy right now, how would you feel?
I'm a boy. Sure.
Are you a man or a boy?
That's his
I'm a
kink,
boy
though. He's
and a
okay
man.
with it.
I'm okay with being called a girl.
Because
I am a girl.
I have no qualms with being called a boy.
I am a female. Please only
don't like
refer
being
to me
called
as
a boy.
such.
What are your pronouns?
She,
So
her,
why
hers.
China? Why?
So-
Why China?
Let's
Why
get to this
China?
question.
So, I think it's for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is because, like I told you, I'm really into cultures. Although a lot of people thought that it would be Japan for me, because I really love Japan. I went to school there.
You speak Japanese.
Japanese. Yeah, that's right. And but for me, I always knew I wanted to teach outside of America, and I needed to get like out without sounding bad. Like I just needed to go and find like how to exist in the world,
Be your own
how
person.
how to move past a lot of things, and like China offered me that.
Mhm.
And when
And
I came
Japan's
here,
maybe too comfortable.
I think, yeah, Japan would be a little comfortable, but also the need for me to be in China and to go to a place where I know I'd have a lot of other foreigners in the company was a solid, like, comfortable sounding start
Middle
to
road.
me. Yeah. And so when I came here, it was very difficult. I think the first thing I had to learn was how to be alone with myself. And
It's scary, right?
That's something that when people ask me about like your challenges in China, like being alone with yourself.
This is gonna be a mini right here.
You're right. Being alone with yourself is one of the hardest things you can learn how to do.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because it's a lot as well. When you first get here as well, it's a lot.
it's a lot. And if you're like someone who needs to deal with stuff or someone who like doesn't want to do that, it's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't know what to do with your time. Like I was always so busy when I was in New York. I was working 3 jobs and going to school full time, and I didn't have a car. I was taking the bus and walking to get to school. So any time that I wasn't working, I was getting to a job, getting to school, doing homework.
There's no time to think.
There was no time to think. There was only time to
Reflective
make what I wanted
thought.
to do happen. And I knew I wanted to go to another country. I wanted to learn to live by
You're
myself.
literally living like minute to minute.
Yeah, that's right.
Instead of day to day.
That's right. And so I think that was the first thing, learning to live with yourself and learning to live and get to know yourself in the quiet.
That's an expat kind of rite of passage, if you will. And you will. You have to like. I'm gonna repeat what you just said in a different way.
Okay.
So you when you get here for the first time, you're in some dingy hotel for at least one night.
Yeah. I was not. I got here at 8 a.m. and I didn't go to bed until 11 p.m. that night after I had already found where I was going to live.
You got an apartment.
Yeah.
But even then, it feels like a hotel.
It does. I had no bedding. I had no anything.
And it's small, right?
My suitcases were still locked up at my school because they forgot to get them out for me.
And then you think of everything and everyone that you're comfortable with is
gone
on the other side of this rock.
Some people come here knowing other expats. I didn't. I came here, and that
Some
first
people
night,
come here knowing Chinese.
Yeah,
I didn't.
Losers.
I knew how to read some of it. But
I mean,
that's about it.
at least you came to Yangzhou. When I first came, it was in a small ass, basically countryside town.
That's cool.
And there was me, and in the whole city there was 2 other foreigners, and they were in the school I was in, which is nice. But when I first got here, like, you're not best friends with someone you just met, right?
Right.
So, I mean, there's some benefits to coming to Yangzhou. Well, it was a year ago now. Yeah,
almost a year.
Yeah, which is I've been in Yangzhou way too long now, and a year ago was still pretty decent. If you came 6 years ago, that would have been a problem. That would have been a lot less people being welcoming.
Well, what do you mean by that?
I mean foreigners in general, because only the worst were coming at that point. And now, China, because China is becoming a much more powerful force within the world, people are looking at it and thinking, oh, I can actually go there and make something. Whereas when I first came to China, and this looks badly on me, but it's people were coming here because they couldn't do anything else. They were coming here because they're kind of rejected from their countries, and socially and maybe criminally.
Oh, no.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that probably can't get jobs in their own countries that came here a few years ago.
Oh, wow.
But like now in China, it's much more accepting, and people are there's a much nicer class of people that are coming now. So you've got that benefit on your side. But you're still right that you'll still be. It's the same in any. You get a new job in America. You don't know anyone. You don't talk to them so well, right? But when you're in a different country, you can only really make friends with the people you work with at first.
Right. And I think it took me...
You gotta be friends with a lot of dorks.
Yeah.
It took me a while to find a group of friends that were outside of Shane. Shane English is the school that I work at. And
Great name, by the way, Shane.
Shane.
Great name.
The owner's name is Shane Lipscomb.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Great name. Also great name.
We're going to edit all that out.
Yeah.
And it took me a lot of time to find friends that were outside of my school, but I realized that I needed to because I was tired
because your school sucks.
No, it doesn't.
But a lot of the things when you come here, they're just, you think that, oh yeah, I can do this, I can do that, and they're just thrown out the window immediately. That's right. It's like, oh yeah, I'll go to this bar, but you go at like 8 p.m. and it's a club that's not even open yet. And
yeah.
You don't even know that that's the culture here, and there's places that you go at certain times, and there's places that you go at certain times in America, and you know something will happen there. Here it's like, I don't know who I'm gonna meet or see, or if it's gonna be open.
Right.
And it's a coin flip as if there will be people you want to meet.
Total toss up.
Yeah.
But I think that it's very, very, very good for people who aren't sure of what they want or what they want to do in the world or who they are, really.
It's
some
a good
people
way
I know
to know
come here to
yourself.
find themselves.
Right.
Like I already knew a lot of
I'm still looking.
Yeah, do you ever really like fully know yourself? I think as you grow, you find out new things about yourself all the time.
Every like 2 years, you look back 2 years, you're like, I was an idiot.
Yeah, and
why did I start this
2
podcast?
weeks. It doesn't even 2 years. 2 weeks. For me.
I think
I posted that.
You're right.
Coming to China and forces you to do just that, to look back on yourself and decide, who was I? What do I want?
Right.
Why am I here? What am I going to do for this next year?
It makes you uncomfortable in the best way. You can be uncomfortable in America if you move to a new state, but everybody's speaking English. You can kind of see a plethora of different people. Like, oh, I can hang out with that guy. I could talk to that girl.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, we're instantly we have to discount 99.99% of the people we meet every day because they won't be able to talk to us.
That's right. And the people who, I think maybe as a girl,
And you don't want to talk to them.
That's right. And I think also as a girl here, which might go into like something you were saying earlier, like I get approached by a lot of people, and men and women as well.
Being a girl in China is vastly different.
It's. I'll talk about that in a second.
A Western girl. Sorry.
It's the thing is
Woman.
that you can walk out on the street and people will stare at you and people will come up and try to talk to you. But the thing is like you can't talk back to them. Like I know a little bit of Chinese. It's okay. Like I can read Chinese. Like that's okay. But like I'm not comfortable enough with my Chinese to
you can have
be able to talk to
cross-cultural
someone.
laughy moments like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, but will it ever actually be like a friendship or anything like that? No, it won't, because I know that my ability is not good enough yet.
That speaks a lot about language and human interaction. If there's no language, there's not any like meeting in the middle, so to speak. Like you're way left, I'm way right, and we're never gonna get.
In everyday like basic interactions, you can understand each other. And some people will just talk at me in Chinese, and I'll talk back at them in English, and we'll completely understand each other 100%. Because it's just like a simple thing, like, do you want a bag at the grocery store?
Yeah, I mean, that's
a lot of
that's
pointing,
fine.
Yeah.
But you
body
can't.
language.
You learn very quickly, like with your confidence with that, you can't do that in like an actual like personal like manner. And I think that like when you first learn that's another phase you need to get over. You get really lonely because you realize that there's like a very select group of people that you're able to talk to if you don't want to learn Chinese, if you don't have the drive to learn it. You need to be able to like accept that. That's another hurdle.
And there's a huge difference between learning Chinese in a classroom setting and a natural setting.
Yeah.
Right.
Like being forced to learn.
Especially with Yangzhou dialect.
I knew a guy who was dating a Chinese girl, and she didn't speak English, and he didn't speak Chinese. They were just using apps to translate everything they were saying to each other.
That's so difficult.
Pure desperation.
And it was only I'm going to say physical, but you know what I'm talking about. It was a physical relationship for a long time, but that just fizzled out because it's not sustainable.
There's no connection.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little connection.
I mean, I'll tell you who that was later.
Emotional fulfillment.
I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, it's a when you come here on a whim like I did, I was just like, oh, there's a job there. I want to travel. I want to see a different part of the world and work. You come here, you get off the plane, and you're like, oh my God, everyone's Chinese.
Oh my God.
Everyone is Chinese.
Like I'm looking everywhere, and they're all Asian. And it's so weird compared to the like England or UK and America. There's a plethora of different what's that called? Nationalities,
ethnicities.
Yeah. But here it's very homogenized.
Yeah, 100%. Well, not 100%. 99%.
And very, like, a little xenophobic.
Oh yeah. Well,
they believe in
but
stereotypes.
But you
too
know
much.
why? You know
right.
why
it's
it's
the same
xenophobic.
when I lived in Japan. They were also very xenophobic.
What are some stereotypes they believe in Japan about various cultures?
Big. We're all big. And not just like fat, but like tall,
just large people.
Large people. Because
Japanese
Asian people are so petite, and especially Japanese women are tiny.
Well, Asian women, yes, but I'd say Japanese people.
Japanese people are tiny.
Yeah, there's not
statistically they're bigger than Chinese though.
But like, look at like people like Yao Ming or something.
Yeah, but he's an outlier.
Yao Ming.
He's an outlier.
Japan.
Of course there is. We just don't know who it is. There must be.
Yeah, fuck that
guy. Also, he's really old now. It's not a good example anymore.
Okay, I haven't been to Japan. When you were walking through the streets of whatever, Tokyo or something, did you see like the odd tall guy, or were they all like, you could, if you were at a concert, you would see you could see everything?
So I'm short. I'm just gonna put that out there. First of all, I'm short, but I felt tall in Japan. I didn't feel tall, but I was taller.
Were there outliers?
now and then, but not very
then.
many.
Do you
not
feel
very many.
taller in China or taller in Japan?
Taller in Japan.
Oh, really?
The men are shorter in Japan.
Well, statistically, that's not true. Like,
Well,
like you can look at average heights.
statistically,
But-
Average heights are like, I've had this conversation with Chinese people. Statistically, it's not true.
Anecdotally,
But anecdotally,
from
yeah,
my
sure.
experience,
Yeah, sure.
but it also was a year and a half ago.
they've grown
So-
since then.
Yeah,
They could have.
7 inches.
So,
Where it counts.
oh no,
I hope your grandma's not watching this.
they're definitely going
She
to watch
turned
this.
it off a long time ago.
I'm sorry.
I said the
Grandma
F word at
Griffin.
the hour mark, and
Yeah.
she's like, these little bastards.
These tykes.
She called my granddaughter a girl. He.
Because
I'm
I
he.
am a girl. I am
Right.
A girl. All right.
Female.
But I think that another stereotype is that we're very loud.
That's
Also
fair.
true.
Also fair.
Also true.
In Japan.
Yep.
We're loud in Japan.
Yep. And we're very open.
Is this an American or Western thing? I guess they would
I'm
say
gonna
American.
say
Say Western.
American. I'm gonna say American because
British
they
people
would
would
say
be
it
loud
to
in
me.
Japan.
Yeah. Well, they of course
Oi.
foreigners are very like big.
Japanese people don't
big
say
and
oi.
loud. Yeah. They do
That's
actually say
your
oi.
go-to for
They
everything.
do actually
They'd be
say
like,
it.
oi.
Yeah, they say it nicely.
Anata wa
あなたは何ですか?
But don't, none of that weeb shit.
Alright, there's our first weeb count.
We
One.
count one.
Hey,
We've made it so
we're-
far.
yeah, we're-
we've been
well.
doing a great
Yeah.
job. So I'm gonna say they think Americans are very open and free with their emotions, which is very true. I think
That goes back to the face and not
yeah,
judging
saving
others.
We're very very open with each other,
That
like
goes
in
back
the
to
way
the
we express
60s.
ourselves. Yeah,
I'd agree with that.
Uh,
Comparatively to British people, I'd agree.
stiff upper lip and what all, right?
and even
And what all.
Canadians. I'd say we're more open and forward than Canadians as well.
Yeah, Canadians are very friendly. Americans are not.
I think Americans are more
But
fake
we're from the
friendly.
Midwest.
I think
That's right.
Americans
Well, we are.
fake
We are.
friendly.
But if you ever talk to like a New
New
Yorker,
Yorker.
they're just like,
Right.
I don't give a fuck about you or your
Right,
day.
like
Like,
you
Where you
walk,
going?
You walk down the street or like, jog down the street in New York. You're going, you're beelining to wherever you're going. In Chicago or Los Angeles, you're like kind of lollygagging, and somebody will be like, "Hey, cool shorts, man."
you'd be like, thanks, dude.
In New York, nobody's gonna be like, "Hey, cool shirt, man. That's
They're
cool.
gonna
I
be
like
get
that
out of my
band."
fucking way.
Give it to me.
No.
Pulls out a flip knife.
Did you see that rat just run across my feet?
Nice.
I
What a
think
magical
that
place.
yeah, when people think of when foreigners think of, and by foreigners I mean people who are not
Chinese.
Americans.
Oh,
No.
foreigners in America.
Yeah, when foreigners in America think of New York, they think of like a very pretty, busy.
No,
Hot pot.
that's not true.
All
Nobody
right.
thinks
Well,
It's a
from my
bubbling
experience,
cauldron.
that. Nobody thinks that. Nobody thinks New York
All right,
is
all
pretty.
right.
Nobody thinks New York is pretty. It's the same in London. No one thinks
Central
London
Park
is pretty.
It's pretty.
I've
No.
had people tell me they thought it was pretty, so there's
What?
someone. There's someone.
Okay, a person maybe.
5 or more.
Oh my god. Okay, I take it back. I take
It's
it back.
still
People
some
are idiots.
people.
I don't think New York is pretty.
When I think New York, I don't think
New York
pretty
City
either.
I'm gonna say city.
City, yes.
You should say
New York
upstate.
State
Upstate
is,
is
of course,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yes, I believe
have
that.
I have no knowledge of New York State, so I wouldn't declare.
It's
it.
beautiful.
huge. It's a large state.
Exactly. If it's near Niagara and stuff, then yeah, I'm sure it is. But city?
I
No.
was thinking
It reminds
you
me
were
too much of
talking about-
London, and London is not pretty.
I was thinking you were saying New York City there. In the beautiful aspect. You were talking about New York State is beautiful.
I was talking about New York City, the skyline.
Oh boy.
Skylines, though, that's a
Okay, well, obviously they
time-
haven't been there before, so that's what they
Ben.
think. It's a
Haven't
very.
been there. Ben.
What did I say?
Bean. The word's bean.
You
No,
say
it's
bean.
Ben.
there.
I say Ben.
It's
What
two
are you, a
E's.
Kiwi?
It's 2 E's. It's not. I haven't been there. It's I haven't been there.
Have you been to the mountain?
Ben, have you been to the mountain?
But
Mountain?
what about steak?
Steak.
I know it's EA, but it still could be steak.
Steve.
If we're getting that
don't like
pedantic,
this
let's
anymore.
go.
Do you say Ben or Bean?
I say Ben. Like
I-
Ben somewhere?
I haven't been there before.
Yeah, that's an American accent.
It's American.
Nobody
Ben.
says bean in America. unless we're watching Mr. Bean.
Okay, this show
Which
is
is
cancelled.
Hey,
Sorry, guys.
You're outnumbered.
It's been
now.
a good run. it's
Mr.
over.
Bean is spelled B-E-A-N. So goodbye your argument.
Thinking about them beans.
That's two beans. E-E and E-A. They're both
Right.
bean.
So
No,
there goes
one is
back to my
Ben and one is
steak thing. Is
bean.
it steak? I want a good steak tonight.
But you
Steak
know,
and potatoes?
but E-A can be pronounced in different ways. That's obvious, right?
Same with E-E.
No, just give me another example of E-E that isn't E. Give me one, because the pronunciation of E-E is E. We teach phonics. We're all English teachers.
B-E-E-N is Ben.
No, it isn't.
B-E-E-N.
Okay,
Ben.
you've been a teacher for like nearly 7 years, 8 years, Spencer.
Ben,
Tell
it's
me,
Ben.
tell me
I haven't
another
been there
word with
before.
double E that's pronounced eh, like a single E.
Grenland?
Oh yeah, you're right. It's not Greenland. It's Grenland.
Xandra. Like a gremlin.
Sorry, I made a mistake.
We're gonna save this argument for the next podcast. Xandra, we went extra long today, and that's because you were such a great guest.
Thank you.
So thank you.
I was
Top
happy
tier,
to be
top tier.
here.
You're like in the
Thanks.
top. You're like my top 3.
Top
Yeah.
3.
Out of 4.
Out of
episodes.
4. Dang. Man, I hope to maintain that.
But anyways, thank you for coming. It was super fun.
Thank you for
Mr.
having me.
Real Host, anything to end it
It's
on?
been a pleasure.
It has been.
Callback City. Anyways, thank you, Xandra. It was fun.
Thank
Ciao.
Cheers. Cheers.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers and ciao.
Cheers and ciao.
Bye,
There you
guys.
go.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.